one of the things that comes up in our peer groups with engineering leaders is in this conversation, this tension around flexibility has been, well, like either we can't do this or other people in the organization don't want to do this or be flexible. Um, are there any recommendations you would give around overcoming like a limiting belief around having a more flexible work environment, or like work benefits or work policies? Anything you could share that'd be helpful for somebody who maybe is bumping up against some of those things.
I think the biggest the biggest realization that I had, and I think we had as a senior leadership team across the company, is this was never going to go back to the way things were. The world has changed forever because of this pandemic, because of this isolation, because of people being forced to work. And we, I guess, maybe took a different vantage point of it. We said, we have been operating, leading, doing very well in this company completely remotely because we've been forced to be remote. Let's learn while we're remote because we have to be. What would we want to change if hypothetically we do come back to the office? And we really opened our eyes and thought about it differently. And to me, it comes down to, do you have the right kind of tools to be able to enable that? Again, here we are 2 years still remote. I have not been into the Airbnb office, which I miss and love, in over 2 years. But the tools have to come with it. Those were the two biggest hurdles that we maybe looked at it differently. We said, let's really invest in the future of work, in the tools, and that's where my team comes in. I'm proud to say we've been in the I guess spotlight in terms of helping the company still be productive. And because we thought about it that way, and because we were already relatively advanced in our tools and our collaboration tools, our content tools, I think it was easier for us to stay remote longer. We still are. But then I really believe it starts at the top with our CEO, Brian, thinking about this very differently in a very design way to say, what is the world going to be like? What are the needs going to be like? So I think part of it is technology and investing, but the other part is listen to your teams and embrace the things that happened. I think a lot of people were looking at it as, let's just create a bridge and let's get back to the offices as soon as we can, because obviously this can't be the way we can be productive. We can't work this way. Whereas I think we looked at it, I'm very proud of Airbnb because we looked at it and said, we're forced to be remote. What can we learn about what's good about being remote? And let's apply that to a new future, a new reality, a new norm after this pandemic. And now you're seeing that play out around the world. So many people want to have flexibility. Brian just announced he's going to live on Airbnbs for the first quarter of this year. And we are making that happen because we invest in the tools and we make sure that it's acceptable for people to have that balance. So I just would encourage others to challenge their beliefs, challenge their beliefs that they have to be in the office. You have to see someone certain days, certain times. That's the only way you can have productivity. At Airbnb, we believe that if you invest in people, you create the right culture, and you give them the right tools, then they can be successful anywhere. And I just think it's a fundamental belief that was different and it started at the top.
It's something that has never really occurred to me, Lucius, that this really brought up for me was you're talking about design, like almost applying design thinking to the employee experience, and it makes me like think of the irony of how come we obsess so much over design thinking for our customers and do incredible things in that space, but to me it seems like insanely underinvesting into like design thinking about other critical stakeholders within this relationship, like the employees. And I think one of my favorite books I read actually was by Chip Conley, who was head of hospitality at Airbnb for a long time, and he talks a lot about like helping people transcend Maslow's hierarchy of needs, including your employees, and helping people achieve like that greater level of self-expression. And so I think that's something for me is like, oh, that's like profound. Like, oh, just think about your employee experience as like a design thinking challenge and design a better thing that helps them meet their needs or transcend to that higher order of needs. Amazing.
And Patrick, that is such a great observation because that's what we've been doing. This experiment, if you will, where we've all been remote, not in the office, which we know and love so much, it has forced us to apply this design thinking to what we want it to be in the future. And it is predicated on this flexibility that people do want this flexibility. With people, flexibility isn't being told you can come into the office Tuesday, Thursday only, and then you get 3 weeks, the rest of the year you can work anywhere you want. That's kind of flexibility that isn't really flexibility, right? You're still stipulating to people how they need to work. But if you took a design eye and you really observed the needs of people, I mean, we literally created personas of our employee base.
Oh, that's I
And
love that.
and and there were these archetypes, right, the isolated engineer, who was alone and solitude and feeling lonely, the working mom, just all these different prototypes that everyone had different needs, and it's not a one size fits all. And that's why this concept of flexibility really came in. But unless we took that design eye to it, I don't think we would be this open to these new concepts, these new ideas. And we are all this time, instead of thinking, when can we get back into the office? Because we need everyone to be productive, we've said, let's use this time as a gift to design what we want the future of work to be like.
I love that distinction so much. Flexibility is design thinking about the employee experience. That's fantastic.